Hello, people. Andrew here, talking about comics from a reader, collector, speculator, investor point of view in that order of importance to myself. And today I'm talking about Lone Wolf and Cub. Lone Wolf and Cub is a manga series that was released in 1970, ran from 1970 to 1976. A total of 145 chapters, weekly chapters. It ended up being a story of over 8,000 pages. It was written by, and if I butcher these names, I do apologize. Kazuo Koike was the writer, and Goseki Kojimba was the artist. And they had worked together on a number of things, and a lot of acclaim for the pairing of these two. So, what is the basic story about? There's the Shogun's executioner. What that is this is set in 1700s Japan. The shogun was like the leader of the land, and if you did something to offend him, or if you were disgraced, or a number of crimes, you may be asked to commit seppuku, which is suicide. You bring the knife into your gut, and then you cut it across and down or up, and you commit seppuku. The executioner, the shogun's executioner, would finish the job because he would, and that would usually mean one swift blow to the back of the head and cut off the head. So that's what the main character of this story, that was his job. What's his name? Ogami Ito. So Ogami Ito, that was his job. So he comes home one day and discovers that his wife is dead, and he has been set up for not so much for the killing of his wife, but for being traitorous to the shogun, for secretly coming up with plans to eliminate the shogun. So he's falsely accused of this. He's disgraced, and he himself is asked to commit seppuku. And in the process, he's also asked to kill his 1-year-old son so that they would both die. Well, he does not take kindly to this. He was being framed and set up. So he escapes his captors with his son and then begins his life on the road. He begins his life on the path of the assassin. So his son, I do have his name here somewhere. When I get to Daigoro. He carts around in a wooden cart that runs over the land. He pushes it along almost like a shopping cart. And this is 1700s Japan, so this is where you get the lone wolf and cub. So 145 chapters is pretty much the whole story. During this time, there's the journey. He goes through various places. He helps people that need his assistance, all the while, being pursued by members of the shogunate and also from those that falsely accused him, the Agyu clan. So he's got to take. He's facing off against these people. Well, as I say, he's not a bad person, so he tries to help out villagers as well. And all the while, he's got to make sure that he protects and cares for his young son, the cub. So when the writer was asked about the whole idea of having that cub, it was because he felt that he needed his character to have a weakness, something that could be exploited by his enemies, something that he had to take into consideration during every battle that he gets himself into or any situation that he finds himself with, because he's got to protect and care for the child. So during this time, he has all of these adventures. So sure, at the beginning there's the crime committed, and at the end there's the final resolution, and there's like 143 chapters in between, and what happens during that, and it's all about the various adventures that he's on while trying to get to that end and clear his name, or at least deliver some degree of vengeance for acts committed. So is it a good read? I haven't read the whole thing, but from what I've read, I've really enjoyed it. I gotta mention the art, because the art is very much a part of the story. Sometimes even good art just really, it helps explain and tell the story, and it does give some nice visuals. But in this situation, there are pages of no text. It is all visual. So it's very much a visual storytelling, and a lot of that is there are pages of the lone wolf. I'm going to try and get his name again. Ogami Ito. There's pages of him just traveling across the countryside. You get to see the shift in shadows. You get to see the shift in weather conditions, topography, geography, temples. There's a certain degree of historical accuracy in depicting these temples. All of this gives weight to the journey, and makes it as much a part of the story as anything else. Uh, Nice brush strokes at times, and it really does capture movement in the reeds moving, the grasses moving. Very excellent, well, an excellent job of in the art department. An influence and inspiration to Frank Miller for his work on Ronin or on some of the elements from Sin City, and I'm sure this has influenced other artists and creatives as well. I'm thinking of Stan Sakai from doing Usagi Yojimbo. There's a fair amount of this sort of concept and this sort of storytelling in those stories, and actually there's a few books that actually pay homage to Lone Wolf and Cub. So the artwork is stellar. It elevates the book, and as I say, is much a part of the story as the story itself. And as for the story itself, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I've read. I have not read the entire thing, and I'll get to that. But what I have read, I've enjoyed, and I like the idea that I can just pick up a single issue or two issues, and I can get a story in there. I get it, very simple story. Sure, there's the grander story that's going on, but there's enough happening in these individual stories that you can enjoy a single issue at a time. And that works for me, especially because I do not have the entire collection. And I don't know that I will. So when it comes down to the publishing of this, First Comics got the rights to publish this particular book, and they started doing that in 1983. So in 1983, they began publishing these Lone Wolf and Cubs in this format here. You can see that Frank Miller wrote the introduction of it and provided a number of the covers. And this is a Frank Miller cover, and the next few will be a Frank Miller cover. So they began publishing this story, but unfortunately, first, like a lot of independent companies, they ran into financial difficulties and had to close their doors, and this ran until 1991 when First was, shutting down. So they only managed to put out 45 issues, which is about the first third or so of the story. They never did finish the rest of it. Dark Horse Comics did get the rights to publishing Lone Wolf and Cub, and then they did publish the entire thing. 28 volumes in digest size books, 5-inch by 7-inch. I probably won't buy all 28, but despite the fact that I do find that the story was good, and I enjoy these individual issues, and I enjoy the artwork of it, I don't see myself buying 28 of these volumes. One, I don't like the size. Some people are very happy with the digest size of 5-inch 7, but I don't. My eyes are getting older. Bigger is better when it comes down to this sort of thing. And I would like to, pore over the artwork rather than squint at the artwork. So I doubt very much that I'll be buying any of those 28 issues, unless, of course, it comes up really cheap, and then I'll find myself one. So in the meantime, I'm going to try and pick up the 45 issues from First Publishing and be satisfied with that part of the Lone Wolf and Cub story. Lone Wolf and Cub was very popular. It generated 6 films, 4 plays, and a TV series. And it is cited, as I said, by a number of artists and writers as a great influence. Very popular character, very popular story. So, yeah, I would recommend this as a read. Um, what about collecting it? As far as collecting, speculating, investing, I'm just going to go through some of these covers. This is a Frank Miller cover, and the next few are Frank Miller covers. But um, Bill Sienkiewicz, Sienkiewicz, Bill Sienkiewicz also did covers for this, as did Mike Plug. So they had some talents doing the covers behind these. As far as the collecting, speculating, investing, the collection is only 45. Would be 45 issues long for the first comics, and I don't know how many people would still be interested in that, knowing it's not complete, and knowing that there is a complete series out there through Dark Horse, and that if they got wrapped into this story, that would be the route to go. Although, as I say, these are a bigger format, and I like being able to see the images. I think the images are, stellar. So, as far as collecting, or you might want to just, shore up all of your first comics. That's up to you. I will probably, I will not be seeking this out per se. But if I see issues and I'm missing, I will be picking them up. Now, as far as the issues, investment or speculation, it'd be like the first issue, you might get some buzz about it, and the last couple of issues, because the print run would have been so low, that they'll probably generate a little bit more money. But overall, all of these books that you're looking at right now, I found in the dollar bin. And for years, I passed over them in the dollar bin. And I just, skipped ahead to something else, and I didn't buy these. And I am very happy that they are still there. Now, there's less and less of them when you go through, because, as I say, it is an older book now. It's from 83 to 91. They have been people have been picking them up, but you'll still find them in a dollar bin. So I'm going to recommend that if you do see one in a dollar bin, do yourself a favor and pick one up. Pick a couple of them. You've got to be interested in that kind of a storyline as well, right? I mean, it's not going to be for everybody's tastes, but if you're for a little bit more of a slower, well, not even slower, but a more well, the pacing is very different. I mean, North American or American comic books are they. I don't know that you would find too many of them at all that would spend, a certain amount of pages just depicting some guy walking through the countryside. It has a different feel to it. This is one of the Sienkiewicz covers here. It's a bit of a glare, but he did a few of those covers, and as I said, Mike Plug did some of the later ones. So overall, I did like what I've read, and as as I said, everything that I've picked up, I picked up in a dollar bin. I will continue to look for books when I see them in the dollar bin. These are all in pretty good shape for the book, and it was an enjoyable read. It's I'm going to recommend Lone Wolf and Cub. As I say, one day maybe I'll get a chance to read the whole thing, but I don't know that will happen. But for what it's worth, there's 45 issues in this first series, and so it's worth it for me to pick up the rest of these and enjoy at least the first half. Who knows? Maybe after I read the first half, I may get so embroiled in the story, reading it straight through from 1 to 45, that I was like, okay, well, I have to find out what happens next. But I read I read these pretty much sort of out of order whenever I got a cover. This is a Mike Plug cover. I read them when I got them. So there's not as much sequential. I might have bought this one before I bought issue number 25. So I would have read issue 42 first and then 25. So I haven't read them in sequence. So it may be a different feeling if I read the entire thing in sequence once it all comes together from 1 to 45. But in the meantime, look, and here's number 44, so I'm just outside of that last one. So overall, though, yes, if you get a chance, pick up some Lone Wolf and Cub. It is a good read, good artwork. Even if you're not like interested in manga, which I wasn't interested, but I like the way that this story is told. I like the way that it's illustrated, and I found it an enjoyable read. So yeah, I'm going to recommend it. And as I say, very very inexpensive to pick up, dollar bin stuff. So that's it for Lone Wolf and Cub. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.